Hello and welcome. You join us here today looking at a typical EV charge point installation. We're at a place in Bedfordshire. It's a single phase installation, not too much to write home about there, but we have got some fantastic bits of kit to talk to you about. Our friends over at Proteus EV and ICS have given us some kit to install so that we can look at all the benefits and features of what they've got to offer in the EV sector. Now, it's really important we get this job right. This is my old boss's house, so it's really, really important that we're on top of everything today. Let's go and take a look and see how we're getting on. Let's take a look at what's in the box. Matt's joined us from ICS.
Hi.
ICS stands for what?
Intelligent Charging Systems.
I'm glad you remembered that because I didn't remember that. They've kindly given us a charger to fit. Now, whilst I'll start looking through this, what one have you sent, mate? What one have you sent us?
So we've sent you the ICS WT7C.
Hold on. What does it all mean?
So ICS obviously being ourselves,
Yeah.
and the W meaning that it could be a home or a workplace.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
The T means that this is a tethered unit. So this comes with a 5-meter tethered cable on it.
I remember the homeowner asking for this solution.
Yep.
So this means, tether solution means it comes with its own lead already there. You can get them with a plug, can't
Yep,
you?
that's correct. It comes with a socket or a tethered version of itself.
Right, so one or the other. So this one, the car that they're going to get is going to come with its own lead, but he only really wants to use that when he's out and about.
Correct.
So he's been bringing home and bringing it in, remembering which one has he left it at home or taking it away with him. So let's start to have a look at what we've got in here, mate.
Indeed, there is. So if
Shall
I
we
get
start
you
to
to
take
just
a look
hold
at that?
that.
Yeah, I'll hold whatever you want, mate. Let's take a look.
So that is the plug. That's a Type 2 plug.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Type 2. That's that. Now, Type 2 is pretty typical for what you're going to start to see all over the place, and especially with the cars nowadays.
Yes.
But what happens if it's not this? So what happens if it's a Tesla or something like that?
So a Tesla's fine because they have the two types. You have your AC and your DC charging, which
Right.
today, because we're in a home, it's going to be an AC single phase charge.
Yeah, single phase solutions we're looking at here. It's only a
Okay.
single phase installation, so we've gone single phase, and 7 kilowatts. Right?
7 kilowatts.
Yeah, 7
So
kilowatts.
it's your 7.2 traditionally, which is your single phase. Your Type 2 plug, you have got some manufacturers out there that are still Type 1, but they have moved over to the Type 2 plug.
Yeah, so the Type 2 plug, as you keep saying, is the one that can fit most common cars nowadays.
Yes.
And if not, there are adapters that you can get.
There are indeed, and the manufacturers that were doing the Type 1 have moved over to Type 2 because it does single and 3-phase charging, unlike the Type 1 plug.
Ah, right, got
Okay.
it. Now, we need to talk about the consumer units that's going in. We've got two options here. Our friends over at Proteus have given two of their solutions for Proteus EV. The reason they've sent us two options is, one is without SPD, so just a typical RCBO sat there, and then the other one here is RCBO main switch, as you'd expect to see, but also it's got a surge protective device in there. Actually, we don't need the surge protection device. As we've discussed with Matt from ICS earlier on, the device itself has got surge protection built in. So because it's got that there, protecting all the electronics with inside, we can send this one back to Proteus because we're going to go with the one without. You may want to consider, if you haven't got the internal built SPD, that this solution would be right for you. And again, it's a fantastic option to have. Now, let's understand why we're going with a separate consumer unit. You've seen from the existing installation that there are existing RCBOs within. Now, they are type AC RCBOs. Now, this protection here is a type A RCD protecting the final circuit that goes out. Now, let's understand the difference between these. The type A RCD will allow for a certain amount of milliamps DC leakage to get back onto the installation and still work. An AC device where it has that DC leakage in will probably, this is a probably, will not work. So we have to be wary there. What we have to know is that one can't be downstream of the other. So we couldn't come out of one of those spare ways, feed this consumer unit and then go from here. What we've got to do in this case is make sure that this is a totally separate part of the installation. We're doing that by installing some Henley blocks that are in the tails, and I tell you, this is such a simple installation. The guys over at UK Power Networks, when they came to upgrade the fuse here, they actually put a double pole isolator in for us. So all we've got to do is turn that double pole isolator off, insert some Henley blocks, continue to feed the existing installation, but then run our new tails into here. And it's from here that our final circuit will come out to our EV charge point. And again, we'll show you some of this as we're getting through, but it's more important to remember that you cannot have a type A RCD downstream from that type AC. So we've got to find room to go and fit one of these. Okay, so we're at the stage of the job where we need to start looking at the cable run now. Now, the cable run, let's talk about that for instance. We're going from that consumer unit that we've seen, we're going into a loft and then back down an external wall. Now, the loft is full of insulation, so you do need to bear that in mind and consider that with the cross-sectional area of your cables. We've done that and we've worked out with a protected device, all that insulation, we need to be using a 4mm. Then it comes down to what type of cable you want to be looking at. I've got two types of cable here. I've got a new cable that's around. It's been made specifically for the EV market. Now this one's superb. It's solid core. So this cable here is quite rigid, it's quite stiff. You can start to manipulate it to do what you need it to do. It looks almost aesthetically as pleasing as what a normal SWA cable would do. However, you haven't got the cross-section area around the outside to worry about because it hasn't got the outer armouring. So your glands and stuff like that can be reduced. So the contractor's here, the installer has said, yeah, he's happy to go with this new solution. So we're going to start to take a look at how they get this cable through the roof and down each end to the consumer unit and to the ICS charger. Right, Matt, I see you're looking at where the customer wants the installation to go. So the customer's identified they want it on this wall here. Now you're looking at, what document you got there?
So this is the Code of Practice by the IET.
Right, so the IET have got a Code of Practice, 4th edition. It is the place to go for all the information that you need to know about electric vehicle charge points. And you're looking specifically here about heights, aren't you?
That's correct. So obviously they've identified this wall, but we need to be sure that it's within the 0.75 and the 1.2 metre region so that the charger is within the Code of Practice.
Okay, right, so the Code of Practice is asking for those two so it's effectively creating a zone across this wall, isn't it? Now that is not just for the socket, is it, but for the reader as well, is that right?
Yeah, so you've got the reader in there as well, and obviously if you've got any screens such as our ICS WT7C.
Yeah, okay, so the screen and the actual outlet itself has to be within that band. Easily here, there's nothing going to stop us doing what we need to do, is there?
I don't believe so, no.
Great. Okay, quick update. The guys are fitting the Proteus EV consumer unit, as you can see over my shoulder here. We're lucky here, we're de-energised at the moment. We were lucky that when they came to install the new fuse, so they upgraded us from a 60 to 100 ampere, they installed new tails and they also put a double pole isolator in. So it's made it pretty easy for the guys actually. They haven't had to go out and contact anyone to come and remove that main fuse. It's made it very, very easy for them to isolate that, use them tails that come out of that to install the Henley block, and then from the Henley block distribute to the existing consumer unit and the new EV consumer unit. So it's a pretty easy job for them, really. Look who I found, it's my old mate Lee. Now I'm glad Lee's here because as you can see the unit is finished. They're in there now just finishing off the last few little bits inside. It's energised, so that means we've got to start testing, mate. And what's this? Because I was going to say to you, this homeowner hasn't got a car yet, so it hasn't been delivered. Like most cars at the moment, I don't think it's been delivered yet.
Yeah.
But so how do we check functionality? But you came with a big smile on your face, waving this around, saying not a problem, we can help. What you got?
Effectively what we've got, this is the Mega EVCA 210. So this is the piece of equipment that you would need to use with your MFT 1741 Plus.
Right, okay. So he's talking code here, ladies and gentlemen. Right, so if you've got your multi-function meter, you get one of these and all of a sudden they can work together to start to extract what you need to out of your charger.
Yeah, pretty much. You'll plug this into your charging point on the wall, and this will effectively simulate a car.
Right,
This allows you to test as a car was plugged in.
I was going to talk to you about that because I know that these chargers don't allow energy through unless they hear a car first.
Okay,
So
that's correct.
we ain't got a car to use, but this does what a car does.
This will do exactly it, yeah. So what we've got our lead for plugging into our tethered point, but we also have the leads that come for the normal socket ones
I was
as
going
well.
to ask, because whether you're a tethered solution or you just got a normal socket on there, would you need an adapter or something else with this?
No, there's just a separate lead, there's a different type of lead that you can use as well. But there's type 1, type 2.
Yes.
That'll plug into either your tethered or your socket.
Oh, great. So yeah, remember that type 1 or type 2 solution. We're looking here at a type 2 solution, so this will work with what we've
Absolutely,
got here.
yeah.
And what does it do? So you say it's a bit of kit that allows us to extract, but what tests can we conduct with this?
So there's a sequence of tests that you need to be doing. There's a couple of functional tests that is what you have to do to start off with.
Yeah.
So effectively what you've got here is we've got a PE pre-test. Now this is looking to see if there is a fault, an earth fault on there. So simply by, if I can get you just to hold that bit there, thank you very much. Thank you. So we have our point set up to 32 amp, which is our charging adapter here.
Yes, it is,
This is our PE pre-test.
Yeah.
So if we put our finger on the button there, the silver button, what we're looking at there is to see that there's no light turn up on the front there. If that lights up at any part of the test, so you can see I'm pointing it around to the A, B, and the C, which incidentally is what you'll be using because we're a domestic property.
Good.
Okay, so we'll be doing A, B, and
C.
C. All right. If that lights up at any point doing that, we stop the test.
Okay.
Because we need to find out why there's a potential there.
Yeah, there's a potential to earth, isn't there? That's what you're telling me.
Yeah,
right, that's a good.
on.
So your bit of kit actually does a pre-test to make sure you can actually carry out all the other tests.
Absolutely, that's it. Yeah.
Clever.
So then what you've got is you've got your PE error. So what this will do, this is another functional test, it's going to simulate an earth fault. So what should happen is we put this round to C. What will happen there, hopefully, we will reset the adapter.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what will happen is that will be reset, we'll have power come on.
Yeah, I want to plug this in. We'll plug in.
Yeah, okay, that's on. Lovely, so we'll plug into here.
Let's get ourselves plugged in. You're telling us now then that this is the bit of kit's going to start working.
Yeah. So there we go. So now we've got power on.
Yeah.
So this is a domestic, so it's single phase or 3 phase. You can see there the lights on. We've got single phase lit up because that's what we're on, single phase property.
Great.
So what we'll do is we'll do our PE error, simulate an earth fault. So what should happen is it should instantly turn off the power.
Yes.
So by pressing the button there we go. So the power's turned off.
Right, so this is part of the standard actually. 722 requires, if there is anything there, it must activate within 5 seconds, depending on which earth protection you're using.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so so just a touch of a button.
Just
I don't need the MFT for this, do I?
No, not at this point. This is purely functional.
Lovely.
So again, what we need to do is take our card and reset our test app.
Yep.
Put that in the pocket there. Okay, so the power's now on. So now what we've got is our CP error.
So we've done a PE pre-test, we've done a PE error.
Yeah. Now
What's
this is
CP error?
this is our control pilot. So this is basically it's simulating an electrical fault on the vehicle. So again, when we press the button, it simulates the electrical fault. It should turn off the power immediately.
Okay.
So again, we'll do it. Lovely. Power's on. So we now know that those are correct.
Brilliant. So there are a lot of functional checks that are being done.
Yeah.
Without one of these, you're not going to be able to do that on your MFT,
No,
are you?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, when it gets round to earth loop or RCD testing, which people do all the time,
Yeah.
this lets you do that, doesn't it?
Totally, yeah. So effectively what you would do, again, you would have it in the C situation, so you power on, you do your loop test using your MFT, your multifunction 1741 plus, in order to do the loop test.
Yeah, that's okay. Because we're using different types of devices now, aren't we? So either a type A or a type B, and you need to be aware of that, don't you?
Yes.
But you do it by just plugging in or using probes.
So you can use your normal probes, or you can use the front plate there using your normal 3-pin plug.
Made it a bit easier, isn't it?
It couldn't be easier. It's turn button and press the button. Turn door, press button. Simple as that.
All right, you're telling me it's easy. Should we get Matt to test it now?
Let's do that. Yeah, let's see if we can do that, shall we?
Let's see how easy it is. Right, so we've come in out the rain because it's absolutely chucking it down out there. Plus we needed to come in because we realised that we didn't want to necessarily just have these cards as the method to connect and allow it to
Yep.
start to give out energy. But we need to connect it first, don't we? So to get this out, we need to connect it and make it a true smart meter. So we've come into the kitchen because this is where the hub is, isn't it? So
Yes.
the Wi-Fi hub. So what do we need to do next?
So what happens is, as an installer, you log into the charger, which is quite simple. It's like logging into Wi-Fi at home.
Okay.
So you log into the charger.
So with my phone,
Yep.
I would literally look at my Wi-Fi and the charger would start to give its own
Correct.
Wi-Fi out.
Correct.
Brilliant.
Credentials of which are inside your guide.
Okay, so that guide that found,
Yeah.
I was about to throw away.
It was an instruction guide. It was.
So here we go, another reason to keep it. Right, so in there it tells me how to connect to the Wi-Fi that's being given out by the charger.
Correct. Correct.
Easy, right.
Okay.
Then what?
So once I've been connected to the Wi-Fi inside the charger, I take the IP address, which again is inside your instruction manual,
Cool, okay.
and I simply log into that using the credentials, which of course are inside your instruction manual.
Right, so that now I'm truly starting to log into the charger that I've just screwed to the wall.
You threw the charger into ICS's server.
Oh right, okay, so
Okay,
this
so
is
we're infiltrating.
so this is just purely me starting to get access to what actually. So you guys at ICS then, you connect to all these individual chargers, do you?
Once they're online,
Yeah.
we get a full diagnostics of the chargers. So when there are issues that can arise, because things
Yeah.
arise,
Yeah.
we can have a look at what may have caused it.
Ah, right, so you can help from
Yes.
remotely. Oh, that's good to know. So how do I get the actual charger then connecting to Wi-Fi?
So once you do log into that server,
Yeah.
you go in and you choose a preset server status, which will be ICS 2.0 Lite.
Okay, right, I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, take my word for it, but it's the name of the application that the homeowner will have to download. Okay?
Right, okay, and so now we're pointing the charger at a Wi-Fi.
At a Wi-Fi, so you would just simply scan for your Wi-Fi,
Right.
which has a percentage next to it.
Yeah, now this percentage you've shown me, when we're looking at setting this all up, you showed me where we've put this charger.
Yes.
We're getting about 70%,
I
is
think
that
it was
right?
78.
78%.
Which is a nice number.
So it's 78%. Now it's important that you start to recognise if you're going to go Wi-Fi or wirelessly between the router and the charger,
Yep.
you need a stronger signal as possible.
Yeah, I
don't you?
mean, realistically, just over 40 is a nice strong signal.
What about less than 40?
You could have some issues because what happens is the server starts thinking, how far away is this guy from my charger? Maybe they're trying to hack.
Right, okay, so just bear that in mind. Anything above 40 is what you really want to do.
Yeah, it's just a nice strong connection.
Okay, great. Brilliant.
So yeah, you get a nice signal strength, and you may need to boost that using just standard Wi-Fi boosters.
Yep.
And then what you would do is just put in your password.
Yeah.
And so you put in your
Hold
password.
on, let's go again. So at this point, we've started to get the charger looking at the Wi-Fi
Yes.
being given by the router in the kitchen.
Correct.
So that's it. So now we've logged in, we've got that, and it's now doing what it should be doing, sending the signal out.
Yes.
At this point here then, how secure is that? Is it going to be a case of now it's on the Wi-Fi charger, I don't have to worry about the Wi-Fi being given out by the unit, or what?
So in theory, there are a lot of things that you can do with our configurator. So it's not just homes; it's also larger business.
Yeah, because let's not forget, this charger that we've got today, although we're fitting it domestically here, we can take that charger out and put it in commercially or industrial
Very
equipment.
true,
So
very
we
true.
can start to spread that. It can really upscale very, very easily.
Yes.
So this is one part of it.
This is
However,
tier
it can
one.
upscale really
Yes.
quite a lot, can't it? So those configuration parts that are in there, they're pretty easy to select and press and open and close.
Yeah, like anything, your first time it could be a slower than your second or third time. But yeah, they're just options there that have been given to us by customers that have requested updates, and we've pushed them into the computer.
And if anyone's struggling, you guys at ICS
Absolutely.
are there to help, aren't
Absolutely.
you? So you
Yes.
guys can do. So now, so you're telling us now that we are truly connected from that charger into the
Yes, we are.
customer's own Wi-Fi.
Yes, we are.
Right, and through the app, they've got the access to
So
do what they want.
they've got the app which just shows them the status of the charger because you may not be home.
Yeah.
And what it allows you to do is re-register your very lovely cards in your hands
Okay.
because you don't want just anyone registering cards to your charge point.
Right. Okay. So that'll mean that only these two cards will work on that charge. But
Yep.
But what if I don't want these? So we spoke to the homeowner and he said maybe these,
Yep.
definitely the app, but not the button. So how do we?
Choices.
Right. Yeah, so how do we make that?
Again, you can just remove them via the app and then they will no longer work.
Okay, so everything's an app nowadays.
Yes.
So it sounds as though everything's an app, and you are making it sound really easy. Looking over your shoulder with the customer, it did look particularly easy. Now the customer here, he's quite a tech-savvy guy. He's been working with computers and bits and bobs for ages. However, you don't need to be that. The guys here will help you if you need the help and support. So there you have it. We've looked at a complete installation here today. We've been looking at the origin to make sure that it's fit for purpose, and don't forget, it really is important that you do contact your D&O if you've got any concerns. We've looked at, do you need an SPD, but this is quite clear that this one doesn't because it's all built in. We've looked at what to do with those DC currents. Again, this has got that DC protection built in, so anything more than 6 milliamps will start to disconnect. Our friend Lee turned up and showed us how to test for that as well, and how to make sure that this will disconnect if there is more than 6 milliamps coming back in of the DC fault current. And until next time, please take care, and remember, at CEF, we're your electrical experts.